Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll find his whole essay. It's a really good essay. Yeah, I've been wearing these clothes for like a week and a half. That's what you do when you're occupying. We become cartoon characters. You have one outfit, you wear it every single day. Eventually that outfit just reeks. And you either wash it, or a lot of times you have to throw it away. Because it is unsalvageable. And then you go and you find a new outfit. And so I look like some sort of banker. Maybe middle manager. My next outfit, I might be a street person.
Interesting.
Guess where I found these shoes? Lower East Side.
Really? On the street?
Isn't that fucking sweet? They look nice, huh?
They look real nice. Well, where exactly did you find
you can
them?
tell they have holes in them. You can tell, like...
Oh, I see.
The Lower East Side is a great place to find clothes. A lot of people over there, like old hippies that have like come up in the world and still live there because they like the culture and they like the history, but they still put a lot of... I've talked to a lot of people who find good stuff out there. So like if they wear out like something that's fancy, like expensive, like these are expensive shoes, you know? They'll put them on the sidewalk knowing that like people, because St. Mark's is around there, you still have like some crusty people who come through there. So they know that like their privilege isn't shared by the entire community. I don't know. It's like one of the hippiest rich communities, I think, or like they talk about gentrification, and a lot of these communities you have to have a lot of money to live in. Like anywhere in the Lower East Side, you know, $2,000 for like a tiny little studio or something. But at the same time, like some of them are like still, even though they have money, they're holding it down. The guy who gave me these shoes, right? Or maybe they actually belong to someone. They're on someone's hood of their car. So yeah, I was like, I looked around. I asked. I was like, hey, I'm taking these shoes, and just walked off. All right. On Anarchy, Leo Tolstoy. This will be good, actually. This is like when you actually start looking into here you go. Actual text and like people who talk about anarchism, then you're like, oh, okay. That's, you know, I don't like ideology, and like I think there's something beyond anarchy. I think permaculture, that's why I was getting to my writing, is that the anarchists are really trying to get back to like the farming community, back to like, anarchists are without rulers, anti-statist. And so basically what happened before a state, and anarchy is a revolution against a state and against rulers. Within that concept, there is a revolution for, and that's when you get to like farming and permaculture and communes, and communism is supposed to like push us towards communes. And the nice thing about anarchists is they don't try to get into that conversation. They just say, let's empower people to create those solutions for themselves, which is sort of humble, and it's nice because then you don't get into like a bunch of hubris. But yeah, I think that's included in the discussion. Like a mature discussion about anarchism is you would talk about permaculture. You talk about just the same way you have a garden where like you limit your actions so that way you're not constantly treating the symptoms of your missteps, but you try to get as natural as possible, gently guiding it to a productive garden. The same thing with society. I think that's an anarchist idea, is that we don't need coercion and we don't need institutions. As little intervention as possible to create a thriving human society. And so I think anarchy and farming go hand in hand. And those are the ideas I was working on recently. Because since being in Occupy, I ran across ideas of anarchism and really cool anarchists, and I ran across ideas of permaculture and really cool permaculturists and farmers. So we were working to get Occupy Farms. I was like the founding member of that, and we got a 56-acre farm that people were going to donate to us. Right now we have 20 farms in our community, in our network. Like it's becoming huge. It's probably going to blow up bigger than woofing and everything. If you know about that, like it's like an organic type of, I don't even know, I've never done it, but like I'm getting caught up to speed on all this stuff. But you basically get into this network and you can go to farms and work like until summer or something, and it's good. I've heard good and bad experiences about it. But with Occupy, that's a cool thing when we came here, is so many resources, so many cool people and cool ideas. It was just like a breeding ground, like a petri dish for like activism. So like I meet someone who's like, hey, you guys should have an event up at our farm, and I start talking to them. They're like, hey, we'll give the movement our farm, and I'm like, what? And we bring like within a couple weeks 17 people up there, and we smoke a bunch of cigarettes, drink some beers, and just talk and hang out, camp out, and just imagine, wow, we can have like, it was up in the Woodstock area, like we can have Occupy Farms in Woodstock, and now we have people in Vermont, we have people all over, and that's like occupying the food supply, food justice, cut out the middleman. You don't like corporations, grow your own food, send it to the cities. There's a lot of logistics involved, a lot of planning, but like These are the type of big ideas that like this small idea of like Occupy is creating, which we would people would talk about as just, it was a convergence. It was where like all these ideas and activism, and under the pressure of like a system which is becoming more and more coercive, people came together and created this convergence. Occupy Farms is one of those cool things, and that's where like a lot of it's coming back to, I'm realizing, or like anarchism's helping me get perspective on this, and then again so I tell people it's not that you have to be an anarchist or I'm an anarchist, but that's the direction I'm headed, so I might as well just acknowledge it, and I'm going to go through anarchism and seeking this wisdom and this perspective, and then that's our job as a generation. This was Noam Chomsky said. Someone asked him in an Interrock interview. They said, Chomsky, how do we get rid of this stigma attached to anarchism? Because I think he identifies himself as an anarchist, anarcho-syndicalist. That you should have like worker collectives that own the means of production, and we don't need a state or like bigger institutions, administrative institutions. And so they said, how can you get rid of the stigma of anarchism? Can you give us some advice? And he said, that's up for you guys to decide. It's up to your generation. You have to reimagine, reinterpret these ideas, and I think that's a way to do it. Is anarchism isn't this violent craziness. It has two definitions in the dictionary. It's not just chaos and lack of stability or order. It's actually just the ideal that human beings can assemble themselves without coercion, voluntarily assemble, and self-govern. Let's see, so Leo Tolstoy, what does he say? This is 100 years ago, 1900. He says, the anarchists are right in everything, in the negation of the existing order, and in the assertion that without authority there could not be worse violence than that of authority under existing conditions.